Every place in the world has its own set of characteristics and ways of life, directly influenced by its geographic location. When mentioning the Arabian Peninsula or Arab countries, many of us automatically think of things like Islam, vast oil reserves, and a luxurious lifestyle. There's a prevailing idea that these places are eternally peaceful and prosperous. In contrast to this perception is Yemen, located at the southern tip of the peninsula. This country is often forgotten in global discussions. What's the reason for such a huge difference between the opulence and development of Saudi Arabia and the reality of war, chaos, and poverty in Yemen? To understand better, let's start with an overview of the country and then take a closer look at the lives of the people living there. Yemen, located at the southern tip of the Arabian Peninsula, stretches along the shores of important bodies of water. Its territory, shaped like a wide rectangle, covers an area of 555,000 square kilometers, making it larger than many countries worldwide. The country's population is around 33 million, resulting in a high population density for its size. The official language is Arabic, and nearly the entire population devoutly follows Islam. Geographically, Yemen is bordered by Oman to the east, Saudi Arabia to the north, the Arabian Sea to the south, and the Red Sea to the west. The country's natural resources include its oil reserves, comparable to those of Libya. However, despite this abundance, Yemen faces challenges similar to other oil-producing countries in the Middle East and Africa, struggling to fully capitalize on its economic potential. Besides oil, the country has vast tourism potential with its coasts and deserts, which could be a significant source of income. The current situation in Yemen makes it extremely challenging to arrange travel there, as the country is engulfed in conflicts that show no signs of ending. This has dramatically affected the local population, with estimates indicating that more than 80% of Yemenis urgently need humanitarian aid. Tourists are rare due to this prolonged instability. Looking back in history, Yemen was a part of the Ottoman Empire up until about 2 centuries ago. However, in the 19th century, when the empire struggled to keep its territory together, the British stepped in, supporting Arab rebellions against the Ottomans. These insurrection movements, bolstered by British support, were crucial for Yemen's emancipation from Ottoman control after World War I. Over the years, Yemen has remained a stage for ongoing conflicts due to the fragmentation among Arab tribes, which never achieved national unity. With the onset of the Arab Spring in 2011, the country plunged once again into a whirlwind of chaos, unemployment, and economic crises, leading to the collapse of the government. Since then, Yemen has faced unprecedented political instability and corruption, with no leaders capable of restoring peace or order. Currently, this situation allows external entities like the UK and the United Nations to have greater influence over Yemen's internal affairs. To get to Yemen, you first need to fly to Oman, one of its closest neighbors with proper airport infrastructure. From Salalah in Oman, a 33-kilometer paved road leads to Yemen, a trip that takes about 2 hours by car, crossing nearly desert landscapes occasionally dotted with lone camels. Upon reaching the border, Omani soldiers may question you about your reasons for visiting Yemen, warning you about the risks. After a brief interrogation, you can proceed, as security at the Yemeni border is virtually non-existent. Crossing into Yemen from the north, where it borders Saudi Arabia, is impossible due to the constant turmoil in major cities like Sana'a, mostly situated on the western side. This area, the epicenter of chaos, is marked by a high concentration of inhabitants and intense tribal activity and protests. An alternative is entering from the east via Oman, accessing quieter and less populated regions. However, any attempt to reach the western part requires special press authorizations and permits from international agencies. Arriving in Yemen from the eastern side immediately reveals a scene of devastation. The buildings are dilapidated, and occasionally some people can be seen along the roads, as if they were figures from a dystopian setting. The landscape seems otherworldly, with a constantly cloudy sky blending with the pale blue sea in the background, while the red and clay-colored land stretches underfoot, offering a view that resembles more a scene from a sci-fi movie than earthly reality. It feels like we've gone back in time to a distant era. At first glance, the deserted coast shows scattered small pits in the sand. The locals, who long ago avoided these once busy beaches, now see them as sanctuaries for marine life. Crabs have painstakingly dug numerous holes along the shore, establishing their new homes. Unfortunately, not all sea creatures were as lucky. Some were brought to the beach where they died and now lie motionless in the sand. Further inland, away from the coast, the first signs of human life start to appear. Shops are open, people are going about their day, and vehicles travel the roads, though the edges are littered with debris and dust covers the asphalt. The signs on buildings are faded, suggesting that new constructions are rare. If you decide to try the local food, you'll find intensely seasoned and tangy dishes, eaten with hands and almost always accompanied by tea. Camel meat is the preferred choice for protein and is highly valued. Conditions in Yemen are harsh, with many vendors operating out of improvised setups, struggling to make enough to get by. If cleanliness is a priority for you, finding good food can be tough here. Still, in some busier streets, life seems a bit more vibrant, with residents managing to get by with the bare essentials. The stores are stocked, but high inflation puts many products out of reach for the average person. Some people in the country earn just about $30 a month, while the average salary hovers around $100. The unstable economy has caused the Yemeni rial to lose significant value against the dollar. This means that even essential professions like doctors and teachers are paid in dollars, with doctors earning about $200 a month. For most people familiar with this reality, it's clear that such salaries are inadequate to meet basic needs, a sentiment widely shared among Yemenis. In challenging times, many people find themselves pressured to balance their legitimate jobs with illegal activities, or even offer bribes to support their families until the end of the month. This choice to engage in illicit means arises out of desperate necessity, mainly due to economic stagnation. Typically, women are not part of the workforce, and the financial responsibility falls on the men in the family. These men usually occupy themselves by selling items like souvenirs, spices, perfumes, vegetables, fruits, and fabrics, but often struggle to market their products. When you buy something from a local vendor in Yemen, you can see the gratitude in their smiles, a sincere expression of happiness. They are welcoming and don't mind the presence of cameras. It's worth noting that vendors usually handle products directly with their hands, which is typical of commerce in Yemen's intricate side streets. Walking through these lanes, you'll notice many buildings seem on the verge of collapse, reflecting the wear and tear of time. In the cities, there's a noticeable older street population, with few young people in the squares. Men's clothing remains traditional, with little Western influence, reflecting the local Arabian style. The scene in Yemeni cities is bleak, with piles of garbage on every corner highlighting the collapse of urban infrastructure. To make matters worse, Arabic is the predominant language, creating a significant barrier for those unfamiliar with it, making the presence of a local guide almost essential. Yemen's bazaars are a fertile ground for unexpected discoveries. Among them is khat, an innocent-looking plant similar to spinach but acting as a narcotic. Mainly chewed by locals seeking a sense of calm and well-being, khat is a strong cultural component, but also a source of concern due to its addictive potential. In markets where khat is sold, it's common to see people exhibiting erratic behavior, a visual reminder of the plant's effects, and a warning to keep your belongings secure. Even in the tough conditions in Yemen, lines of people eager to buy khat are a common sight, showing how deeply rooted this practice is in the local culture. Additionally, one of the country's standout features is its vast sand dunes, which over time have transformed into sturdy rock formations stretching across the land. So, Yemen is much more than just barren plains. It's a land with rugged terrain, full of unexplored and challenging areas to cross. As for architecture, large buildings like hotels and palaces reflect the yellow and orange tones that dominate the country's color palette. However, many of these grand structures are now abandoned or struggling to operate without customers. Outside the cities, on roads cutting through the desert, it's common to see children and adults wandering, many barefoot and dirty, likely from small villages searching for resources in the cities. Without access to vehicles, many walk long distances. The difficulty in getting rides and the inefficiency of the intercity bus system reflect the collapse of the country's transportation infrastructure. In a scene where rundown vehicles plow through dusty roads, women wrapped in black veils walk silently, invisible in their own land, governed by men. Their absence from public life is a testament to the harsh restrictions imposed on them, where any attempt at dialogue by a foreign man is thwarted by rigid social conventions. Along the roads, you can see women wearing hats to protect themselves from the scorching sun while herding their flocks. This is the reality of a country where corruption has eroded the foundations of the government. Despite being rich in oil, Yemen needs to import fuel from neighbors like Oman due to the lack of infrastructure to extract and refine its own oil. Political leaders focus more on illicitly enriching themselves and sending their gains to European accounts, rather than investing in the well-being of the people. The reality in Yemen is marked by the helplessness of its people, resulting in declining cities where fear and self-defense are constant. Without effective political leadership, the country suffers from a lack of cohesion and solidarity among its inhabitants. Isolated, many resort to looting to survive, and it's not uncommon to see entire cities abandoned and devastated. In the most dangerous regions, even tour guides carry rifles for protection, highlighting the frequency of kidnappings and the daily uncertainty that plagues the country. Personal defense becomes a necessity, not just for protection, but also to deter potential threats. Additionally, it's common to see women begging on the roads, a reflection of the desperation that drives them to ask for food in a country where extreme poverty coexists with large families. Despite the obvious hardships, many men express the harshness of life and the struggle to support large families, with at least 6 or 7 children in each household. In most parts of this country, the chance for a child to attend school is practically zero. Education is an unattainable luxury, just like technology. For many kids, the highlight of their day is a simple soccer game or a gift from a foreign visitor, brief moments that offer an escape from their harsh daily realities. Girls, in particular, have a heavy routine, carrying water for their homes, which lack basic sanitation, and actively participating in household chores. However, despite these challenges, the people of Yemen never stopped believing in their country. Faith in a better future is constant, and everyone hopes that Yemen can recover and thrive. The warm and generous hospitality towards visitors is a tradition that persists even in the most difficult circumstances. There's a hope that Yemen's future will be shaped by leaders who truly value and love their land, bringing stability and recognition for its natural features, like beaches and the vast desert, rather than political instability. Overcoming the tribal influence that still dominates the region is crucial for them to emerge from a long history of being pawns on the global geopolitical stage. Remember to like the video and subscribe for more content. Goodbye.